introduce Dr. Alison Jones. Alison began her career in higher education when she joined VCU in 2001 as the MCV Campus Student Service Center Manager. She later worked with the School of Pharmacy as the Student Services and Admissions Manager, joining the office of the Senior Vice President for Health Sciences in 2007 as Director of Academic Affairs. Over the last 17 years, Dr. Jones has taken on roles with increased responsibility and currently serves as the Associate Vice President for the Health Sciences Academic Operations and Strategy. Dr. Jones earned both her MPA and EDD at VCU and is a proud alum of the Gracie Harris Leadership Institute's VCU Leadership Development Program. Her favorite aspects of VCU is the incredibly talented and passionate people who are dedicated to the success of the VCU community. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble reading today. In her downtime, Dr. Jones enjoys spending time with her family, completing home renovation projects, and can occasionally be spotted in the student section of the Siegel Center chairing programs. Dr. Jones. Next is Dan Hahn, the Chief Information Security Officer for VCU Technologies. Dan Hahn is Chief Information Security Officer for VCU. He's over 20 years experience working in various areas in information technology and cybersecurity. He holds an MS and an MBA and a number of industry-recognized professional certifications. Outside of his role as Chief Information Security Officer, Dan is an adjunct professor at the VCU School of Business and serves on several cybersecurity and technology advisory boards for the region. And certainly not last, or least, is Melissa Burton. Melissa's actually on staff Senate. She's the administrative coordinator for the Office of VP for Health Sciences. Melissa's been working on the MCV campus at VCU for the last 18 years. She started in the admissions office for the School of Pharmacy, became the financial academic coordinator in the Vice President's office for the Center of Interprofessional Education and Collaborative Care, and is now the building manager and coordinator for the Vice President's office. She's been the chair of VCU Staff Senate for the last several years and is a member of numerous boards and communities around the university. She graduated as valedictorian from Richmond School of Urban Ministry, obtaining a BS in Christian education, and used this to advance her ministry in areas helping at-risk youth, the homeless, addiction ministry, crisis pregnancy ministry, transitioning people from prison, a food pantry out of her home, and much more. She was the youth minister for 5 years and is also a recording artist and lead singer for Zachariah's song, where she sang and spoke over 100 times a year for many years and hosted a radio show. She still performs at and attends over 100 charity events a year. After losing 160 pounds several years ago, wow, Melissa wrote a sugar-free cookbook and speaks about health and wellness at numerous places such as Richmond Health Department, VCU Medical Center, J. Sargent Reynolds, Richmond Health Disparities, and is featured in Richmond Magazine. She's also an advocate for debt-free living and helps others in this endeavor as she herself is debt-free. She does interior decorating as a web designer, caterer, an event planner, and a wedding coordinator. She was awarded the title of Miss Congeniality as well as Ambassador Award for community service in 2018 and 2019 at the Virginia Misses for America pageant and strives to live by the attributes of that prestigious award daily. Welcome.
Wow.
Okay, we're going to roll right into the first question. I want to remind our panelists that we have 3 minutes to answer the question. And the first question is, what is your definition of leadership, and how was it formed, and has it transformed?
Okay, so I guess I get to go first, and what I'd like to do is defer to Melissa and let her sing for us. Because it's like perfect karaoke venue. So for me, I can give you an academic description of leadership. It's bringing people together, getting a variety of viewpoints, information to make good decisions, to impact change, positive change. Very academic, but to me, leadership is more about respecting others and valuing others. And I think my leadership stance has changed over the last 22 years. Ooh, 22 years. In a way from feeling like I was on the receiving end of leadership to being a leader and realizing that it's not your role that makes you a leader, it's what you do and how you do it. And I think everyone has leadership as part of their role in life in general. So it's just a matter of how you use that power, whether it's at work, with your family, with your church, in your community. That's where leadership really develops. So it's a whole host of things. It's not something that you're going to automatically have. You're not born with it. It's developed, and you have to rely on others to help you develop it.
Wow, that was really good.
I know, like, why did we let her go first?
Yeah, so I think I agree with everything Alison said. So to me, leadership really is the ability for you to lead and also to be accountable for the actions of you yourself and also your team, right? So for leadership for me, it was developed over the years, and I think there are different leadership styles, and the different styles can be suited for different situations that are there. So, for instance, typically, my style would be more so of a coaching or collaborative style, where I actually take the feedback from my team, because the bottom line is I need to trust my team in order to be successful, right? So it's not a monopoly. However, in certain situations, for instance, we have in my role, we have key cybersecurity incidents. Sometimes decisions need to be made, and during those times, perhaps a different style needs to be leveraged, right? So again, these things don't come overnight. At least for me, I developed these different styles over the years, and that is developed through the observation of others, as well as just interactions with my leaders as well, right? I mean, so not only just the leaders that, not only just my supervisor here at work, but also in the community, and just learning from others. One of the things that really stuck with me from a leadership perspective is that there was a little cartoon that I saw years ago, and it actually showed two pictures. One is the leader, the other one is the boss. So the boss is the guy who is sitting behind the desk, and then you got all of these people dragging that desk around, right? The leader is the one who is out there dragging the desk along with all of the folks, right? So I think that really resonated with me, and one thing that I think if you ask any of my team members is that I would always roll up my sleeves and just get down and dirty and make sure that we get everything done. So I think really just showing that you care for the team and showing that you care for the mission of the team is a huge thing in terms of being a leader. So
thank you. I was hiding it in my pocket of my dress. Good morning, fellow leaders. When I am asked what a leader, it is you. Anyone and everyone is a leader. It is up to you to decide what kind of leader you're going to be. Leadership for me is someone who serves and is willing to get down and dirty, who is willing to sacrifice with compassion while organizing and guiding those around them through motivation and inspiration to a common goal. It's really funny, the down and dirty really got to me. I am all or nothing. I've had literally several people today ask me that are on the staff senate, I'm the chair of the staff senate, are on the staff senate, ask me, are you Melissa? And I have to go, yes, you've never seen me in makeup before. Because normally, I'm in here in a ball cap and sweatpants, rolling around the lunches or something stupid, because I just want to make sure everybody's got their spot. So I've never come to conference with makeup on. So today, y'all got to see the suit of me. In a world where everyone is for themselves, there is a novelty in being a servant leader. We all work too much, and we think we have to give 110% in everything we do. We don't have 110%. There's only one of us. We have 100%, and we give that in different variations of different things and different times. Just because you have money and a title does not make you a good leader. And just because you don't have money and a title doesn't mean you can't be a leader. A title does not equal entitlement to treat people like they are your servants. I've met Dan before, but we have never worked together and we've never really had a chance to sit down and talk, but I've heard many great things about him. But I do know Dr. Alison Jones, and she is my model for this. When I started working here 18 years ago, I was in the School of Pharmacy. She was my supervisor, and she had a title, but she didn't have a doctor title, and I hope none of y'all saw my eyeballs go outside of my head when they refer to her as doctor, because I don't think of her as doctor. I just think of her, that's Alison, that's my friend, that's my supervisor. At some points in my life, I babysat her kids, we fit to each other's houses. And I'm like, oh God, she's a doctor, but she doesn't spout it around like that. So she is really my model of servant leadership and being a just complete 100% natural, everyday person who happens to have a title.
This is why she got us congeniality.
Okay, next question. How has your longevity at VCU contributed to your leadership role? In other words, how has VCU prepared you for leadership, and how are you using those skills to give back to VCU?
I think honestly the reason why I have been able to move in different roles at the university is because I've had really good mentorship. And it's not necessarily a formal contract with a mentor, right? I mean, like, there are programs out there where you get a mentor. For instance, the Grace Harris Leadership Institute is very mentorship driven. And so I got assigned a mentor. That was great, but that is not the mentorship that actually has made a difference for me. It's the little conversations. It's the little M mentorship, right? Where you just develop these relationships with people. And what I'm very fortunate to have is very close friends, some of them are here today, who will tell me the truth about my actions and tell me how to think about things differently. So I take a lot of that leadership, right? Those qualities, I get those from other people, and I try to adapt them because I'm always going to have to change something. I'm always going to have to learn something. So I think being at VCU, as big as it is, there's so many opportunities. I think a lot of times people get stuck in their silos. So I've been fortunate enough that I started at VCU in a position where I had a lot of exposure to a lot of different people on the MCV campus, which then allowed me an opportunity because they saw something that they liked and said, hey, come work with us over here. And getting involved in different committees and task forces and work groups, not always by choice, but just getting to know people. I will tell you the pandemic, I am really good friends with people who have been at VCU just as long as I have, that I only met because of the pandemic, because of my role in trying to get the university back open. And we're buddies, right? And we rely on each other now. And our paths don't necessarily cross and work as much as they did during that time. But it's one of those situations where if you expose yourself or allow yourself to be exposed to all the different things that go on at VCU, you never know when the doors are going to open for you. And I know I'm kind of getting into one of the other questions, but sorry. But I would say that my biggest opportunity at VCU for learning about myself was the Grace Harris Leadership Institute VCU Leadership Development Program. Fantastic program. If you get a chance to do it, I highly recommend it. And also, there's lots of training out there about doing self-discovery. And then the other thing I will promote is the EDD program in the School of Education, which is a Doctor of Educational Leadership. And we have that tuition waiver, use it, people, like, use it. That's how I've got my last 2 degrees. It was worth all the time and the effort. But these are really good opportunities for you to self-reflect and learn about yourself and others when it comes to leadership. So I thank VCU for all that, because I would not have my master's or my doctorate except for the fact that I'm here at VCU. And the Grace Harris Leadership Institute, and then just the people in general. And others. But there you go. Follow that one.
Always a tough act to follow. So that was very insightful. So I'll tell you guys a little bit of a story about myself. So first off, I'm the typical extroverted IT guy where I look at your shoes while I'm talking instead of those on my own, right? Now, with that said, my bio is very short, probably reflective of the extroverted IT guy nature that I have. But with that said, really my story with VCU actually began when I was a teenager. So my parents were foreign scholars who came to this country, and they worked for VCU School of Medicine. And they were both researchers there. I came with them, so I was not born in this country, right? So when I was 14, I started working in labs, working with animals. So there were like these summer internship programs and stuff like that where I can go and do those things. And throughout my life, I was able to meet some incredible people here at VCU. Whether it's researchers that are seeking the next breakthrough in medicine, or even the kind administrators who actually took me under their wings. And eventually, after I graduated high school, I came to VCU. So I came to VCU to study parts, right? I told my parents, convinced me that, hey, what are you going to do with your lives, right? I mean, So anyway, I pursued my, that next passion, which is computers, and which is where I am today. In terms of, developing leadership over my career and perhaps over my lifetime, I mean, I have, taken bits and pieces from all these incredible people that I've met over these years. And they have really taught me quite a bit. And I think, likewise with that, I have always formed a really deep bond with VCU itself. Not only has this place provided me with education opportunities, so I got my master's here as well. And it also allowed me to really grow with this institution, watch this institution flourish from what it was in the 1990s until what it is today, right? So I think the fact that I am able to work in a field that I truly enjoy and be out every morning and be here and be energetic and be able to tackle the challenges that we have each day. So in terms of developing a leadership style and also being able to give back, I think one of the passions that I do have is I know VCU and the city of Richmond to a certain extent have given me the opportunities to take me here to where I am today. And I want to also help guide our next generations to be able to really at least provide them or put them on the road to have the same level of opportunities as what I was given, right? So in that sense, I actually started participating in some external organizations as well as internal organizations, right? It was like the Gracie Harris Leadership Institute. That is a great program. There's also some other programs that are actually offered through VCU as well for leadership development. Now, furthermore, for all of us, whatever we work in, I mean, chances are there are going to be some, interest groups or boards that may facilitate the advancement of the career field that we're in. So one of the things that I started doing is I started participating in those things, right? So now I'm working with this group called the Virginia Cybersecurity Partnership, which works in promoting cybersecurity careers in the state of Virginia. So, and you know, with that said, I'm leading the efforts in developing a career pipeline, you know, for all of the Fortune 500 companies around here, small to medium businesses. So again, you know, the reward for me there is, you know, one, I can help to do whatever I can to ensure that people can meet a certain cyber hygiene, so that we can defend, you know, not only just the university, but also, you know, all of the rest of the Commonwealth against, you know, all of the different morphing attacks that we're seeing every single day. By the same token, we can also, you know, bring the students in and connect them with potential employers, so that, you know, they can get some experience, they can have some hands-on opportunities to really understand, you know, what does it look like to be a, you know, cybersecurity professional or IT professional, you know, over the years, right? So I think, you know, what I'm trying to get at is, if you're working in a particular field and you're passionate about it, you know, participate in some of these external groups. There are going to be groups out here in Richmond, in the region. So participate in those things, and, you know, try to develop your skills there to make a difference for whatever you're passionate about, right? So anyway.
I'm the outlier. I don't have fancy degrees, and so it's funny. I've been here for 18 years, started when I was 20, just turned 39 yesterday, so I've been here since I was forever. My signature line, this is my signature line, and I'm on all these committees that are, I wouldn't say boring, but nobody hears about them. They're important, but the regular staff member doesn't hear about them a lot, and a lot of those came out of being on the staff senate and just being willing to say yes when nobody else would, and just be, I'll do it, if nobody else will do it, you need somebody, I'll do it. I don't have a VCU business card. I've been here 18 years, I've never needed one. I have a personal business card that has all those random things that she said, because everybody that does ministry knows that you just have to teach yourself what you gotta do because you don't have money to pay somebody else to do it. So I've had to learn all these things as I go. Some things I wrote down are, I learned to say yes. I learned to just say yes and grow. And there's a lot of these things that I'm on that I'm like, what am I doing? Even staff senate. I'm the chair of the staff senate because somebody went, hey, there's nobody running for staff senate chair. Will you do it? I'm like, sure. If you need somebody, I got you. And I've done it for 5 years. And so sometimes I sit in meetings and I go, why am I here? And then I have that such a time as this moment where I think, oh, this is something really important. This is something that our staff need to know. This is something that somebody needs to stand up and say something, and nobody would if I hadn't been in that room because of just all these random placements and all these random people that I've met over the last 18 years. So sometimes your leadership is just saying, sure, I'll help out in any way I can, and then you find yourself in these positions allowing you to stand up and fight for what's right. Maybe your legacy in leadership will be in the department of kindness, or in the department of policy and being trustworthy. Maybe it's in the role of organization. We all have different gifts that are needed here. You may not have a business card or feel as important as when Dr. Rao walks in the room, but you are just important to this university in the role that you possess. I do not have aspirations to, like Alison did. That was the life path she chose, to keep going to school and elevate herself in that way. I have the distinct honor of coming to VCU every day, earning a paycheck, earning insurance and giving my best at the job that I'm doing. And then at 4:30 each day, I have the freedom that VCU has given me to go do my other life. And that's the leadership and the right that I possess in what I want for my life and my life goals. People are like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I will be sitting at this desk right here doing the best that I can for you if you will keep me. And then I will leave at 4:30 and take care of my kids and the 100 events that I do for this community here. It's okay for that to happen. And some people have thought I have no drive and that I'm not a good worker because I don't want to go back to school and get a master's and move up the ranks of VCU in that way. I'm okay not doing that. Whatever your choice is to be a leader, it's okay. It's okay. You don't have to feel like you're less than, because that's not the choice that you and your partner and your family and your God and all those people that help you make decisions make. They are wonderful people, and they do wonderful things in their jobs and their communities. And that's just the choice they make, because that works for them. So you're allowed to be a leadership in other things than title and business card.
I think I want to be Melissa.
There you go, you have to be on all these committees.
Okay, what would you classify as the most defining leadership behavior?
I think the most defining one is how you treat people. Recognizing value in others, even when it's difficult to do. I know that everyone in here has had to deal with difficult personalities, but if you can get past that and realize that sometimes the difficultness is coming from a place of pain or trauma or confusion, fear, a lot of times you get past that and you can actually see the true person underneath it. And I think that's one of the biggest problems that we have as a society, is that we don't want to recognize that what you see on the surface is not necessarily what the person is about. So I think valuing others, not only in what they can do, what they have done, but who they are truly, is really, really important. The other thing that I would say is, when it comes to the work environment in particular, those of us who have been deemed leaders, okay, who have been given that title, so to speak, have to be very, very careful not to make people think that somehow they are ultimately responsible for everything. Because we know that the people who are getting the work done are the people who are not designated as leaders, which is ridiculous. So it's important for anyone who is in that capacity or has had the privilege of having that designation to make sure that the people who are getting the work done are receiving the kudos that they deserve. And I think, and I'll bring it back to the pandemic, when we were looking at opening the university again, it was super complicated. I'm sure most of you had some part of that, right? Whether it was just keeping things going, trying to figure out how to work from home and have your children online in school and just trying to make it through the day. Everything that you all did and everything that we did really helped get us back to where we need to be. And if you have a supervisor who's not willing to recognize that, that's problematic. So I think from a behavior standpoint, it comes down to respecting people, valuing people, and making sure others know that they are respected and valued.
I couldn't agree more with what Alison just said. I think, you know, there are several key qualities that are very important to leadership. So one, I would say, you know, again, echoing what Alison is saying, really adaptability, right? So the fact of the matter is, when we are, you know, working with folks, or even when we're working by ourselves, we can never conquer, you know, what we need to do. Generally, you know, without interacting with others, right? So So in that sense, it is important to have the emotional intelligence to know how we can truly enlist the help of others and truly get their buy-in. And I think one of the big things in order for us to drive at that is a leader must be genuine, right? So we have to remember that the buck stops with us. So we need to be held accountable, for the actions of our teams. And by the same token, when there are wins, you need to recognize that, hey, you know what, this is not your action, this is your team's action. So now, so this one particular question actually made me reflect on a conversation I had with one of my friends, actually recently. So he went to North Carolina, went to this large, global company, and got actually a very, very good position over there. A year later, he came back. So, I was having lunch with him the other day, and I said, hey, why did you come back? I mean, that other gig seems really good, right? So he said, yeah, there are a couple of things. So one, the first day when I went over there, my supervisor at that time, who was a CFO of that company, asked them to basically get the project plans ready, and so he did. He presented the project plan, and then the CFO said, hey, you know what, I don't like this. We need to change it. Blah blah blah. And he said, well, can I just digest it a little bit? And the next thing that he heard was, hey, the CFO said, well, I clearly chose the wrong person for the job. Right? So that was the first week on the job, and then the second week, the leadership team over there, again, this is based on what he told me, had some grudge against a particular department, and tried to use them to basically get rid of that department. And so he didn't necessarily agree with that. So generally speaking, what he was telling me is, the culture over in that particular environment was that, if something messes up, the leader always passed that down to, individual units, departments, teams. So they just had a massive amount of turnover year after year, month after month, and eventually he said, well, yeah, I mean, this is not the right environment for me, right? So, and that's why he came back. And when I reflect on that, that made me look at least the environment that I am in within VCU, and I am so glad, and personally, I feel very fortunate to be in the environment that I am in, because at least, for my leadership, as well as the teams that I have interacted with, and that is not the culture here. And I feel like, it's just making sure that as individuals, as leaders, we instill a culture of accountability, and also we instill a culture of recognition for those for those individuals that we lead is absolutely important. So.
And if you don't feel like you've been treated that way, come talk to us at the Staff Senate. Shameless plug. Because that's what we're here for. We want to know when things are not going how they're supposed to. But I agree with you. I think the defining leadership behavior is thanksgiving. The definition of thanks in the dictionary is an expression of gratitude. The definition of giving in the dictionary is providing love or other emotional support. People want to be heard and appreciated. People want to be seen and respected. Even if you disagree, even if their points aren't necessarily, I don't want to say they're not valid, everybody's points are valid, but even if you can't use them, even if they're wrong, people just want to be heard. The biggest thing, I mean, like, Vicki could come to me and be like, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. And I can go, I love you, and there's nothing I can do, but I'm glad you came to me. And she feels like, okay, maybe nothing got solved, but I got it out. I shared my opinions with someone. Someone heard me. Someone appreciated that, even if that's not the direction we can go into. Listening means thoughtful attention, alert and expectant. I don't have to be right, but I respect that people would listen. And I think we all, and that's me. Kindness. There is a great person who makes everyone feel small, but the truly great person makes everyone else feel great. That is G.K. Chesterton. I think kindness and respect just for people in general and their ideas, and realizing they're going through hard things too. And even if I can't use their ideas, at least I've heard them and assured them that they are an important part of this work we do.
Alrighty, we've got 2 more questions. What does work-life balance mean to you? And what do you do in your personal time that helps you become a leader or be a leader?
Work-life balance, okay. So,
And I know you, so you better be true.
So Dan and I have the distinct pleasure of being on the incident coordination team, so we are 24/7, which is really awesome. Luckily, we don't get called on too often for those late night ones, but you know those weather calls? Yeah, we're on those at 5 a.m. So, and no snow this year, so we're good, right? Like spring is here, almost, we're good, okay.
I'm very for still.
Yeah, anyway, but no, I think work-life balance is whatever you need it to be, and you need to figure out what works for you. So when I started VCU, I had 2 small children. I had to deal with daycare. You know, they only open so early, they only close so late. I have a lengthy commute. It's over an hour. So I knew that I could only be at work at a certain time, and that was only if traffic was good. And I knew that I had to leave by a certain time, right? So I had that already built in. And I was very lucky to have that. Also, not to age myself too much, email from home was not really a thing when I started at VCU. And I was actually responsible for answering all the emails that came in through the records and registration email address. Okay? So when we did our first year of closing during the holiday break, because we didn't always do that, I remember coming back to work and I had 750 emails. Okay? People wanted to know where their diplomas were, like how can I get a transcript, do all that stuff. And I remember the next year, I think it was, or maybe that was only like 3. So maybe the next year was when we had the ability to actually check our email from home. Or we were informed that we did. We may have been able to, I don't know. I kind of wish we never knew about that. But I remember sitting at home during the first year that we had the 2 weeks off, you know, give or take. And I was so grateful that I could go in and check email during that time. And I look back on that and I'm like, why? Why did I care? Because I was so overwhelmed when I came back. So as things have happened in my career at VCU, kind of changed to the point where that work-life balance is getting harder and harder to keep, because we have the electronic leashes, we have expectations, and sometimes it's all just completely ridiculous. So when I if they need to get to the hospital, they know how to call 911 now, so it's good. Everything's good. No, I'm just kidding. But in reality, that takes a lot of pressure off me, right? So my kids are older, but then 2 years ago, my dad got very, very ill, and I ended up moving with him to take care of him until the end of his life. So, you know, the good thing about the timing was that we were all working remotely, or close to it. So I was able to keep work going. So it's all gonna change, right? You've gotta figure out what's best for you, and you have to set your boundaries. Right now, I don't have a whole lot of excuses for boundaries except for mental health. That's basically it, right? So if you don't have a supervisor who is willing to accept the fact that you need to decompress, that's a problem. And you should definitely be addressing that, however you need to address it, okay?
the one thing I will say to you, because, and I'm kind of a hypocrite for saying this, but you cannot be afraid to leave work at work. You do not need to go home and be all consumed about a conversation you had with somebody, about a project that's coming up, that someone's going to think you're not doing your job because you're not checking email at 9 o'clock at night. You don't have to do that. And I will tell you that we're very fortunate. Melissa and I work for Dr. Marlon Levy, who is the Senior Vice President of Health Sciences and the CEO for the health system. Massive job, right?
And a surgeon.
And a surgeon, and a surgeon. Yeah, he does liver transplants. I mean, come on, right? He is the epitome of lifesaver, right? So he came in and talked to the group about work-life balance, and he said, I do not check email after, I forget what time it said, 6 o'clock. I don't think that was true, but I wasn't gonna call him out on that, right? So for him to have that attitude, it's like, look, I've got a life, I got all this going on, I'm a lifesaver, but I've got a life. And if he can do that, we can all do that.
Yeah, he said he stopped taking his work laptop home, is what he did, to differentiate it.
Yeah, and so don't be afraid. I mean, like, you're not gonna get any further just because you're answering emails at 9 o'clock at night. You're not. People will think you're crazy. And that's kind of where we are now. It's a lot better than it used to be. And also, you're sending people emails at 9 o'clock at night, or 4 o'clock in the morning, people start seeing it as an imposition on them, okay? So don't do it. Just don't do it. I think we're much more accepting of the work-life boundaries. But that's gonna depend on what you need. So don't be afraid to adjust that as time goes on and talk to the right people to get that to a point where everyone is comfortable and you're not feeling like you're stifling yourself and your career because you have a family. So,
No, that was really good. So I am not the best example of work-life balance. I can tell you that. But you know, so the thing with me is that, you know, I really love what I do. So I am really just a tech nerd, and I like to, you know, program. I like to, you know, work with AI. I like to do all of these things, right? So that in itself is also a hobby. Now, you know, one of the things that Alison mentioned is extremely important, and I actually learned this from one of my colleagues, although I don't necessarily follow it. But so what he does is, if there are any emails, right, I mean, that comes in, say after hours, or, you know, maybe that needs a response, so he will actually, you know, write a response, but then he will schedule that to go out at 8 a.m. the next morning, right?
Don't do that.
You know, don't do that either. But again, you know, for, like I said, I am not the best example for that. So because you know, I tend to work 24/7, but by the same token, I mean, I think all of us need to, you know, really juggle and judge where we are, right? Because one of my staff at one point told me, he said, well, I mean, you got a family, right? So think about the day when you pass away. You know, what do you want to be remembered for? Do you want to be remembered for as a, you know, a father and a great father and a husband? Or, you know, do you want to be remembered as somebody who worked at VCU, right? So, I mean, that struck a chord with me, but the fact of the matter is I have a problem. I am a workaholic. I mean, this is just.
We're gonna have a sidebar.
Yeah. We'll have a sidebar of that, right? So, but anyway, so I am not an example, but I would advise you that, and I do not expect any of that from any of my staff, by the way. So I want to respect them of their time, and I certainly will not, you know, contact them in the middle of the night, unless they contact me first, right? So, and I have a couple of workaholics, you know, on my staff as well. But anyway. I'll just leave it there before I think further.
All right, so I addressed some of this in some of my other answers, and we've got about 10 minutes and one more question, so I'm going to be really quick. I'm going to talk fast with a southern accent, so sorry. VCU isn't my career. That may sound horrible to some people. I love VCU. It gives me the flexibility to do the things I need to do, but I'm not trying to move up and up and up and up to become the president of the university. That's my personal choice. VCU is my job. I love it. I appreciate it. My career and my whole heart is what I do afterward. My family, my ministries, all the community, those other things. I try to be the same person and do a good job in both places, but at the end of the day, I leave here and go, okay, bye. Not wholly, nobody ever does. They're talking about this. So my previous supervisor has on his byline, he has like 12 jobs, right? So he has on a signature line, like, I send emails outside of normal work hours, do not feel like you have to. And I'm sitting in bed at like 10 o'clock one night, and I get the ding on my phone, and I pick up the phone, and I'm like, why is he sending emails at 10 at night? He should be going to bed. And my husband's like, you're the idiot reading them. Yes, you're right, good night. Okay, so VCU is a very special place. That it requires a lot. We are lean, mean, and green, and we're all doing 3 jobs because we have to. But it does give us the flexibility to be who we need to be. I am a complete advocate for the community service hours. I use every single minute of my community service hours every single year. They do not go to waste. VCU and my work-life balance allows me to serve the community, my family, and gives me the flexibility to be who and what I need and want to be. So let VCU do that for you. Thank you.
All right, we are at 10:38.
We can do it. We can do it. Like, less than 10 minutes. We can do it.
We go, all right.
All right.
What would you say to VCU staff aspiring to be leaders and how to move forward on their journey?
I like what Melissa said, say yes, join committees, get involved in projects, volunteer for things, the career development, or the career communities, do all that. And I will also say, I'm making this quick, but I know a lot of things have a Zoom option. Don't go to the Zoom option unless you need to. Go to the in-person option. We are really, really missing networking opportunities. And anytime, and I'll tell you, I went into I forget what the heck it was, but I remember being so energized. I'm an extrovert, it's fine. But I was so energized after going and seeing people I haven't seen in years, meeting people in person for the first time that I've been working with through Zoom for the last 4 years. And there was something, it's just something about that, right? It's just that interaction. Networking is impossible on Zoom. It's awful. And I think the best times are when you're talking to somebody face to face and getting to learn about them. It's that 5-10 minutes before a meeting. It's that 5 or 10 minutes after a meeting. It's walking to the parking deck to your car. Super, super important. So I would strongly suggest that you do that.
Right, introvert. No.
Yeah. So I guess I am the only introvert here, but I think in terms of developing leadership skills, right? I mean, it is so important to really meet people and be able to just again know the folks who are around you. And I think one thing that Alison mentioned about volunteering for projects, taking the initiatives, and these are great things to show that, hey, you know what, I am passionate about what I do, and I want to make this a better place, right? I mean, so and similarly, just with anything that you're passionate with, because I mean, we're not here just talking about leadership, at the workplace, right? And so if there are other things that you are passionate for, and I think I mentioned about this before, there are going to be special groups out there. There are going to be volunteering opportunities that are out there, but go and pursue that passion. Know that you can. And the fact of the matter is, if you put your mind to it, I mean, you can make a difference. You can make this world a better place. So I'll just leave it at that.
Encouraging others shows you who you are and the strengths you can use to influence others. It may sound cliche, but Be kind. We say it, but we don't do it because of our own selfishness. Be willing to say yes to the little things, and you will be entrusted with the big things. Be okay with not being big. You don't have to be bossy to be a leader. You don't have to be in charge to be a leader. You can lead from where you are. You don't have to have a complex and treat people rude because you're the leader. You can lead with or without a title. But if you wait until you get a title, you may just wait forever. A leader is a person, not a position. If you are a leader or have the leader title, give your people the chance to contribute. They grow and your job gets easier. The empowerment of encouragement is a great thing. There is a doctor here in the dental surgery program called Dr. Abu Bakr. One Saturday, there was like one person was running their CE, and I was friends with her, and I went on a Saturday just to help her out because she had nobody else to help her. And I was running food back and forth, and Dr. Abu Bakr, who didn't normally come in on Saturdays, came in, and he was walking by, he saw her, and he said, "Pam, who has that?" And she goes, "Oh, that's Melissa, she works for IPE." And he's like, "Oh, I've been wanting to talk to IPE. And she's like, "Go meet her." So we sat down and just started talking about random stuff, and he started telling me that he was going through this program that was all about the opioid crisis, and he started taking it because his son had overdosed on opioids, and he was a surgery doctor, handing them out like candy, because that's what they were told and trained to do, and sort of tricked into doing a little bit too with advertising. And I looked at him and I said, "You have to tell this story." He's like, no, I can't speak. I said, "No, you're gonna tell this story because you come at it from the point of a doctor, a leader in medicine and surgery, and you also come at it from a helpless position where you lost your son, and it didn't start off as like hard drugs, it started off as he had an accident and got prescribed these drugs." I said, "You have to tell your story." And he's like, "I don't have anywhere to tell it." I said, "I'll find somewhere." I was like, I run a Bible study, you can come talk about it to the six of us, like whatever happens. We put it out on the Telegram, and we had to change the room 4 times because we had that many people RSVP. And now this man talks all over the world and doesn't keep the money from it, and uses the money from his speaking to fund scholarships for kids. And I'm not trying to say I'm awesome. I'm saying all I did was, you need to tell your story. We need to encourage people to have the freedom and the space, and we need to find spaces for people to tell their story so that they can then in turn touch lives. It just takes one person saying, "That's important, you should tell it."